Hi, my name is John, and for this week's reflection, I will be talking about what I feel I demonstrate the most, which is communicate effectively. So, starting off, for which Gen Ed learning outcome did I have the most experience with demonstrating, and how the readings and videos deepen my understanding of it? So, the outcome that I personally have the most experience with is communicate effectively. I use communication every single day in school, leadership roles, professional settings such as my internships I've had in the past, or jobs. I've really learned that communication is not just about talking confidently. It's about being clear, listening well, and adjusting how you communicate based on the person you're talking to or the situation that you are in. So this week's reading, it starts with the yes and that really helped me deepen my understanding. It really, the idea of improv really stood out to me there. To me, it really means that, you don't shut people down. First of all, acknowledge what they say. And not only that, but you try to build on it. So that's something that I really enjoyed from it and found pretty interesting. That really does matter in real life, especially in group projects or leadership roles, because the best outcomes usually come from when you're listening to others and when people feel respected and included. So, really, the video, on communicating effectively also really enforced the importance of, being clear, concise. And that part really hit me because I've seen in internships and professional environments where people don't have time for a long explanation. So, if I can get to the point quickly and still be respectful and professional, it's more likely to be the best for everyone. So now moving into question two, what does communicate effectively mean to me and why does it matter? And how does it show up in your personal and academic life? So yeah, to me, like I mentioned, it means I can share my ideas clearly, but also know how to listen and respond in a way that helps the conversation move forward. And it matters because communication really affects everything. It's affecting relationships, teamwork, leadership, and overall performance. And personally, I've seen it when I try to be more present in conversations, instead of, I guess, thinking what I'm going to say next. That's something the improv reading made me think about, and how easy it is to, half listen while, you're planning your response. And I've realized that, being fully present is a skill that makes a conversation a lot better. So academically, it shows up, communication shows up when I write, present, participate, in the class with groups, whenever I get feedback to improve. It's really not just about what you send out. It's really also how you adjust and get better over time. Professionally, communications is one of the biggest skills I've built throughout my career, just within my internships, asking smart questions, giving updates. I always learn this thing like over communicating, like being really open. And that's really what helps people build trust and overall makes things work a lot better. In my community, whether it's, within campus groups, classmates, or clubs I'm in, communication matters because it really sets the tone. So, I try to communicate in the way that makes people feel respected as well as confident in contributing. So moving on to question three, which learning outcome do you feel the least confident in or want to explore? So the one that I want to explore further is understanding and value differences. So I feel like I'm respected and I work well with different types of people. But this week's reading, Nuestro Comunidad, our community, it really made me realize that valuing differences is a lot deeper than just being polite. It's really about taking the effort to learn about the history and experiences behind different communities, and really recognizing that people's perspectives are shaped by the different things that they went through in life. It also made me think about how easy it is to make certain assumptions about places or people without really understanding them. And that idea really stuck with me because I don't, want to be someone who stays in the comfort bubble and misses out on a unique experience from someone else. Now moving on, how will I develop it? Question four. as a lifetime learner. So, how I'm going to develop, understand and value differences is I want to be more intentional when I learn from others. First, I want to listen more actively when people share their perspectives that are different from mine, especially in class discussions or group works or even in the professional settings. Instead of immediately judging or comparing, I want to ask, better and deeper questions to really understand the why behind someone's beliefs. Second, I want to put myself in situations where I'm learning, outside of my normal routine, like taking courses that focus on culture or background, attending campus events, stuff like that. Having those conversations will really help me understand people's backgrounds. And then finally, I want to check myself for, different spots that I'm not quite aware of. If I get feedback that something I said came off wrong, or, I want to learn from it instead of getting defensive, and over time, personally, I think that'll make me a stronger leader and a more thoughtful person. So yeah, overall, this week really helped me to see that, the communication skill is one that I use every single day, but it's also something that I can definitely keep improving on. It also showed me that understanding and valuing differences is a lifelong learning process, and it's very important, and overall will make everyone's life a lot better. So yeah, thanks for listening.